looking at revitalising strength. This is a really big topic, especially for women who are going through menopause. It's going to be, hopefully, give you a better understanding of why you should be strength training. I feel like we kind of get told off, or we hear a lot of things about, lifting weights is so good for your resistance training, it's so good for you, all these kind of things, but we don't really go into the why, or why it is so relevant to you in particular as a woman who is maybe approaching menopause, going through menopause, or has been through menopause. What is it about lifting some weights that is going to be so amazing for you? So hopefully by the end of this, you should have a clearer understanding why you should be strength training, how often you should be strength training, and knowing how to recover properly in order to make sure that you are getting the benefits from the strength training without burning out. That's another thing. Also want to make sure that you're keeping as fit, strong, healthy as possible, but also want to make sure that you're resting and recovering well. The two go hand in hand. It's obviously like diet and exercise going hand in hand. Sleep also goes well with that as well, or just recovery in general, not even just sleeping. Although if you do want a little bit more info about sleeping, then check out one of our other tutorials, which is all about rest and getting a better night's sleep when you're going through menopause. But for now, let's get stuck into revitalising strength. I think you'll really enjoy today's topic of discussion because it is so important. We're not just going to look at, obviously, what I mentioned just there about the benefits of strength training and how it's going to impact you as a menopausal woman, but we're also going to touch on conditions like sarcopenia, osteopenia, and you might not have heard of these before. They might seem like things that are not ever going to affect you, but it's frightening how common they are for women and how many women are affected by them, and how simple it is to not just prevent them, but to also keep them at bay or even undo these conditions. So let's get into it. I'm just going to share my screen and make sure that it works. So we're going to have a look at, yes, this here. So you should also be able to access the PDF. So you might want to have that handy because there's going to be a little section further down where we look at, creating your own strength plan. So if you have got it handy, then that would be ideal. So yes, this is us revitalising strength. And the topic is revitalising strength because we want you to feel revitalised from your training. We want you to feel great from it. We want you to feel strong and fit and confident. And it might not be applicable just now, but independent as you get older. When we have strong muscles and healthy joints and all the rest of it, then it means that you can move with a lot more confidence as you get older, which again, like I said, might not feel applicable just now, but definitely as we age, it's going to be a really important thing. And the good thing to know is, I'll say here and now, I'll probably mention this a million times throughout this, but it's never too late to get started. It's never too late to improve your strength. And we're not talking about being a big strong man, like bodybuilder type thing. I'm just talking about strong muscles, strong bones, strong joints that are going to let you move with ease throughout your life, move confidently, independently. You're not in age, you're not worrying about going up a set of stairs, you're not worrying about sitting down and if you're going to be able to stand back up again. Things like that we really take for granted when we're younger. But, for even in my family, as I've seen people age, it's completely eye-opening when you see how different people can get when they don't look after their body. And you see people who are so able-bodied and independent and going about their day and going here and going there, not thinking anything of it. And then if they've not looked after themselves properly as they age, they're having to, a trip to the shops is a big day out because they're having to plan so much in advance and how they're going to get there and get back because their body isn't able to move very efficiently anymore. So this is what we are looking for. We want you to feel good from strength training, and also we don't want you to be feeling drained or exhausted or just feel like it's taken away from your life. We want it to be adding to your life. So we also want to make sure you're not overtraining. That's a really big one. I think for women as well, we kind of push a lot of the time when it comes to physical exercise, or anything actually, I suppose. It's just in us to always give more. And I want to make sure that you're getting the benefits from your training and not feeling exhausted and drained, because menopause can be a very draining time of your life. And we want this to revitalise you and make you feel great rather than just feeling exhausted all the time. So we're first going to touch on strength versus cardio, because as women, we are always pushed with doing more cardio, okay? We feel like that, I think as a generational thing as well, maybe not so much these days. I feel like for women maybe younger than myself who are coming up, it is so much more common for them to be in the gym, in the weights room, and chucking weights about and feeling confident and feeling like they belong there and wanting to get strong, wanting to grow their muscles and not shying away from that and feeling like we need to be small, sweat, and be stuck on a treadmill for hours on a time. Whereas even when I was a teenager, that was still something that was in the magazines, even in the health and fitness magazines and the newspapers, all the rest of it. It was how to burn so many calories, fat blast, get shredded, ridiculous like fat blitz and workouts and stuff that were all designed around cardio and all focused on making you smaller, and just burning calories and sweating like mad, and not actually about building a strong body, which I think is obviously amazing for younger women who are coming up now and who are, drifting away from that cardio kind of thing. Cardio's got its time, obviously, like that is still really important. We need to look after our cardiovascular health system. We want a strong, healthy heart, we just want strong, healthy lungs and all this kind of thing. But the good thing is that you do get those benefits from lifting weights as well. You're still working your heart hard during a weightlifting session. You're still, having to control your breathing, maybe not as intensely as you would in cardio, but it's still going to give you lots of health benefits rather than just focusing on burning so many calories, because that is not what we're about. Obviously, if you're wanting to lose weight, if that's one of your goals, then you're going to be wanting to be in a calorie deficit and be more in your calorie balance. But for today, we are just focusing purely on the benefits of strength and prioritising strength at this time in your life, as opposed to just always looking at burning calories doing cardio. And if you do enjoy cardio, then that's absolutely fine. Like, I want you to be able to work out and feel good and enjoy yourself. Don't feel like you can't do any cardio at all. But I just don't want you to feel like it's the only way for you to get results. Strength training should be a priority for you right now. If you're perimenopausal or going through menopause or even post-menopause, please prioritise your strength training as soon as possible and make sure that you are working your muscles hard. Okay, we want to make sure that you're covering your whole body, particularly areas that are prone to injury, which we'll touch on when we come to discussing sarcopenia and osteopenia a bit later on in the slides. But you want to make sure that your muscles are protecting your skeleton. Basically, we want to make sure that if you fall, you're going to be so much less vulnerable to breakages and fractures and things like that, compared to if you weren't strength trained at all, and your bones are going to be weak and more likely to fracture. And then if they're weaker, then it's more difficult for them to heal and recover, and then you just get stuck in that vicious cycle of, being a bit more sedentary because you can't move, you're restricted by your movement because of fractures and things, and then you can't improve the condition because you can't move, and it just kind of goes round in that circle. So yeah, we're talking about these punishing workouts and fat blitz, and we've heard it all through the years, and like I said, it's nice and refreshing to see that women are owning weightlifting now, and they're not afraid of lifting weights, and they're not like, oh my god, I'm going to end up like a big muscle man or anything like that. We're just going in, putting the work in, and loving seeing our bodies changing shape and feeling stronger and all that kind of thing, instead of trying to shrink and just sweat away on a treadmill for hours on end and punishing ourselves. I think weightlifting celebrates and encourages enjoying your body and appreciating your body for what it's capable of. And cardio can do that as well. Obviously, if you're like a runner or something like that, if you do cycling and anything competitive that way, or you just like to see yourself getting better at running or faster, then that's rewarding in itself. But I mean, I'm talking about cardio in the sense of just sticking yourself on like the cross trainer for hours on end because you had a Kit Kat last night and you need to punish yourself for it. That's kind of what I'm talking about here. Whereas strength training is, your body is able to squat and sit up and get up and move this way and move that way and lift this amount of weight and all that kind of thing. And it is nice when you start to see yourself get stronger and feel yourself get stronger. You just kind of carry yourself differently as well, don't you, when you lift weights and you know, train that kind of way. So yeah, strength training is a must. If you are peri, post, or going through menopause, please make sure you're doing your strength training. When we go through this, I'm going to talk more about, you know, what kind of stuff you should be doing. But it's never too late to start. So if you have friends who don't lift weights, get them on it. Tell them they must start weight training if they are approaching menopause or have came out the other side of it and they still aren't lifting weights. Then, like, honestly, it's like telling your friends to go for their smear test or to go and get their mammograms done. Tell them to get lifting weights, and it doesn't have to be crazy routines. Again, I'm going to touch on this later on about how often you should be training. You don't need to be lifting weights ridiculous amounts of time a week. You see here, 2 to 3 times per week can be enough. Now, depending on what your goals are, if you have a particular physique goal, if you want to look a certain way, then it might be different. If you're trying to maybe develop your glutes a little bit more or something, if you're trying to develop your body in a certain way, then your training is going to obviously have to reflect that. But if you're just wanting to lift weights for the sake of being healthy through menopause and creating a stronger body to carry you through the rest of your life, then 2 to 3 weeks, that's 2 to 3 times per week, sorry, that is going to be absolutely fine. Yeah, so that's the kind of minimum that we're looking for, would be 2. And then I mentioned prevent or improve conditions like sarcopenia and osteopenia. Yeah, I will come more on to them in a wee minute, but basically sarcopenia is just muscle wastage or muscle loss that's associated with age. So as you get older, your muscles might start to waste away, and there's a lot of different things that can cause that. It's not necessarily getting old, it's like things that we do as we age that causes the muscle wastage, or things that we don't do as we age that causes the muscle wastage. And osteopenia, and that is bone loss, and that is also associated with the aging process. So yeah, like I've mentioned before, something that I go on a lot about is the importance of weight training to improve your bone density, because as our estrogen levels drop through menopause, then our bones are more vulnerable and more likely to break and fracture. So we want to make sure that we're preventing sarcopenia and osteopenia. Okay, sarcopenia, let's talk about that one first. So, like I said, it's a muscle loss associated with the aging process. The older you get, the faster muscle loss occurs. This can be because we're more sedentary, so we're less active as we get older. We might not have as much energy, so it might take that little bit more effort for us to be active. You know, as people retire, they're not really chasing after young children as much, maybe, as they would have been, like if they have kids, teenagers, all the rest of it, running about after them for years. That certainly keeps you active. But if you haven't really got any kids at home anymore, or like I said, you might have retired, you're not working, you've not got your daily commute anymore, you've not got that activity to do, and you might just, you know, get a little bit more tired, get in poorer routines, pick up bad habits that mean that you're less active throughout your day. And that can cause your muscles to waste. They're not being worked, use them or lose them, as they say. So unfortunately, as people age, they tend to lose the muscle they do have. And if you've been someone who's not been particularly active throughout your life, you're not going to have a lot of muscle to lose. So as you get old, that is just going to be a rapid decline in muscle mass that you have. And like I said before, if you've not got strong, healthy muscles, then you're going to be more likely to have poor mobility. You're going to struggle with, you know, moving about, simple things like sitting up, standing down, carrying things about in the house. You'll be more prone to falling, because like I said, if your mobility is not great, then you're not going to be able to turn well, you're not going to be able to transfer your balance in your body, and if you're more likely to fall, then you're more likely to get injured. And when you're older, that's really not good. It can be really, really dangerous for you. It can lead to, you know, a poorer quality of life, basically. So for sedentary women over 30, this can occur at a rate of 3 to 8% of muscle loss per year, which is frightening. That is a lot. Yeah, and we don't want you having any. 30 is young. You know, that is if you are starting to lose muscle from that age, and you've got the rest of your life, if you live till you're 90, you know, that is a lot of muscle to be lost. And that means that by the time you're 90, you're going to be struggling to support your own body weight, you're going to be struggling to walk about, if you live a very sedentary lifestyle and you aren't looking after your body. So that decline of 3 to 8% is only going to speed up as you go through menopause. So the rate increases further with menopause due to the decrease in estrogen. So like I said earlier, as your estrogen comes down, then your bones are obviously going, when we come to osteopenia in a minute, your bone density is going to suffer, but also your muscle mass is going to suffer. That is going to come down. And again, vicious cycles, that is always the kind of recurring theme of, being sedentary leads to muscle wastage, means that you're more prone to injury. If you get injured, then you're less likely to move about, become more sedentary, and more likely and more at risk to suffer from injuries and falls and things like that. So it just keeps on in that loop. Whereas if you start now, start looking after your body, work out 2 to 3 times a week, build some healthy muscle mass in your body, do a little bit of mobility, maybe do stretching, yoga, Pilates, something like that, that's going to keep your body quite supple. And it means that you're going to move more freely. You're going to have trust in your body and confidence that you can move about and not have to worry about, I can't do that. I might not be able to get back down that set of stairs. I can't go there because I don't know if I'll be able to get back. Things like that, that'll actually impact your daily life. You'll be able to be like, yeah, I can do that. Like, that's no bother. I get trust in my strong body and I know what I'm capable of. I can lift heavy weights, and I say heavy, it's all relative, heavy weights is always relative to the person that's lifting it. So don't feel like I've got a certain standard of what heavy is. That will depend on you and your own personal strength. So if you're lifting relatively heavy and frequently, then you're going to be on a really great path to having a strong and healthy body as you age, and you're going to prevent as much muscle loss as possible as you get older. So it might not be a concern if you don't lift weights and you don't care about getting strong, which is fair enough. Not all of us want to be strong. We don't care about how much weight we can deadlift. We don't care about certain things like that, and it just might not be something that really tickles your pickle, and that's fair enough. If you're not into it, then that's cool, but for the sake of your health, then you're going to want to focus on it, and just make sure you're lifting something, you're doing some sort of resistance training. It can vary, so some people believe that you should be doing few reps, lifting really as heavy as you can, and doing strictly strong strength training. But you can also lift lighter and doing, a different rep scheme if you're maybe doing less reps, doing higher reps, fewer sets, and at a lighter weight. That's cool too. That's also resistance training. You don't need to be lifting mega heavy, but we want you to be working at a good enough rate. You do want to be putting your muscles under some sort of stress so that they will, get stronger and recover and improve. But, if you're not into lifting heavy, then that's fair enough. If you're not like, oh God, I got a 50 kilogram deadlift, and you're like, I really couldn't give a monkeys, then that's fine. That's absolutely cool. But you will just need to work back in that little bit more to try and find some sort of interest in it, or really see the benefit more than actually enjoying the process of it, unfortunately. But that's absolutely fine. Not everybody loves the gym, and that's cool. It's just something, I say, for some people it's like brushing your teeth. You've just got to do it to look after your teeth and look after your oral care. The same as going to the gym, you just need to do it to look after your body, and it's just one of those things. But like I said, you might not be bothered about it, but if you want to be able to stand up from the toilet seat when you're 70, then you're going to need to do your squats. So that's where functional training is classed, because obviously the movements that you do in functional training should reflect your everyday activities: bending down, standing up, reaching for things, picking things up, carrying things, all that stuff. So you want to make sure that you can move well in your daily life. You want to struggle to walk unaided. You want to not struggle to walk unaided, should I say. You don't want to be having like a Zimmer or anything like that, or God forbid, like end up in a wheelchair because your muscle wastage is so bad. Can't carry your shopping bags, can't carry anything really. You're struggling to even lift things, pick them up, put them down. The thought of falling over and not being able to pick yourself back up, that is a big one. That must be terrifying for some people. It must be such a worry for people who don't have very good mobility. Maybe even who live alone and things like that. So that could be a big concern for people as they age, and for women who are not looking after their bodies, and if they take to having falls and things like that as they get older, it's just not good. And unfortunately, when people start to get injuries from falling, it's just kind of a decline from there. They start getting breakages and things, and these breakages don't heal very well. And yeah, it leads to a decline in quality of life, unfortunately. And we want you to be living a great life, as great a life as you can, doing as many things as you want, enjoying yourself as you age, and doing, you know, fun things, and enjoying having more time to yourself and being more free, and hopefully having independence and being able to do these things, not having to, you know, do a roly poly to get out of your bed because you can't even push yourself up. Yeah, so this is what it's all about. It sounds like something you might not be particularly interested in just now, and it might not even seem like something that would ever happen to you, but it can happen to any of us as we age, and that is why you want to start as soon as you can. Like I said, it's never too late, but the earlier you start, you know, you're going to give yourself a good head start for sure. Now, osteopenia, so they both kind of tie in well with each other. It's the same kind of idea. If you're not looking after your muscles, if you're not looking after your bones, then it can lead to all sorts of problems later in life. So osteopenia is the bone loss associated with the aging process, and it can progress to osteoporosis, and that is the degeneration of your bones and makes your bones more vulnerable to fractures. The bone density will decrease, and like I said, if you're going through menopause, your estrogen levels are coming down, and that can lead to a decrease in your bone density. And yeah, that can just make you more vulnerable to fractures if you're falling. Yeah. So women's bone mineral density peaks at age 25 to 30, and then it'll plateau. So if you get to 25 to 30, if you train in your 20s, happy days, you are doing yourself wonders to look after this bone density that you have been building up throughout your life so far. Yeah. And hopefully you've done enough so that at this age, your bones are at a really healthy point. And if they are going to plateau, then that's fine. At least you can maintain that healthy level that you hopefully will be at. If you haven't trained throughout your life, then that's fine. But like I said, it's never too late. So you want to make sure you do start training, because if you haven't been looking after your bone mineral density, then unfortunately, although it will plateau after 30, it will start to drop. And that's even before menopause, although it drastically kicks up. So you'll start to lose 0.4% per year of mineral bone density once it's plateaued after 30. So like we say, 30 is young, you know, that's not even midway through what your age could be throughout your life. If you're living until you're 90, that's going to be really early for your bone density to start to decrease. So if it's 0.4% per year, it doesn't sound like much, but you know, your bone density isn't an astronomical number. It's not going to be mega high, and for women, it's generally, you know, it might not be as high as men to even begin with. And then if we're going to start to lose, then that's really not good. So if you're losing 0.4% per year, then it's drastically dropping to 4.4% per year between the age of 50 and 54. So that is typically your menopause age. Yeah, so that is frightening amount again. That is a lot to be losing. And we do not want that. We want you to be holding on to that bone density as best as you can, clinging on through your strength training. Your strength training encourages your bones to stay strong and healthy, and it can even improve your bone density. So if you have maybe lost a bit, then it can revert it. You can get that back. You can improve your bone density again. But if you're not doing anything about it, then you know it's just going to keep getting worse and worse, and you're going to make yourself so vulnerable to getting injured in fractures. Particularly around areas, so like your hips. You'll you know, how we all know someone that's probably had a hip replacement. I know people have had hip replacements because that is a vulnerable area around your pelvis for women. If your bones are fragile and you take a fall, you can fracture your pelvis. Your wrists, that's a common one. Things like, you know, even your knees, ankles, all sorts of things like that. Your upper body is vulnerable, your spine. We want to make sure we're doing exercises that are going to protect your body. Your ribs as well, that's a common one. People fall, crack the ribs, that's not ideal, because that again is, these things just become more difficult to recover from as we age. So you want to be doing exercises that are protecting your skeleton, growing your muscles, and are going to make your bones less vulnerable, but also improving the quality of your bones through the strength training. So it all ties in nicely together. But around 40% of women will experience osteoporotic fractures post-menopause. Yeah, so once they've been through menopause, if they've not been doing their strength training, 40% of women, that is a lot of women. That is a really high number. And that could be mid-50s onwards. So it's not even like old women, like maybe pensioners or anything like that. That could be a woman in her 50s falling, breaking her hip. That's crazy. You know, that's such a young age. I want you to be looking after yourself and taking care, because this is an age that you're going to have a lot more freedom if you've had children, if you've had a young family, things like that, and they'll hopefully be grown up now or starting to get more independent themselves. And then you're getting this time to yourself. If you've got a partner, you know, this might be a nice time that you've been maybe looking forward to for a while, being able to do more things on your own without your kids, not to say that in a horrible way, but or maybe you've just had a really demanding career for a long time, you've really been working hard for ages, maybe you're working towards retirement and you're looking forward to having a lot more spare time, a lot more free time, should I say, to be doing things that you enjoy, and you're not looking after yourself. You're not going to be able to do that. Yeah, you don't want to be in and out of hospital all the time, hurting yourself. And then the next one says hip fractures are associated with 15 to 20% increased mortality rate within 1 year after break, which is frightening as well. That's really scary. The amount of people that I've known quite a few people who, either in my family or friends' families, they've had older relatives who've fallen, injured themselves, if they've fractured their hip. It's almost like a death sentence, as horrible as it sounds, but the quality of life in so many people I've seen, it's just went from hip fractures, because they just, it's I don't, obviously I'm not a doctor, I don't understand, you know, the ins and outs of it, but unfortunately the quality of life just declines so much because they're unable to get over this hip fracture. They never, or the amount of people I've seen who haven't recovered very well from it or recovered properly, and they end up just kind of bedridden, or with a really poor quality of life, because they can't move independently, they can't move unaided, they can't go here or there, but where they might have previously done so before. And unfortunately, they just deteriorate and pass away, which is really sad, and we don't want to be happening. As morbid as it sounds, we don't want this to be happening. We want you to be strong and healthy and confident and living well, and taking care of your bone density. Yeah, healthier bones, stronger muscles, good quality of life. That's what we're here for. So your training, let's have a look at it on a cheerier note. It is important to talk about these things, and although it does sound a bit morbid, we all need to think about it. I think about these things sometimes as well. If I'm having a day and I'm just, what's the point? What's the point of this bicep curl? You know, and you think, well, do you know what? I do love a cup of tea. I'm just thinking, this is me bicep curling with a cup of tea when I'm in my 80s. I'll be absolutely fine. But yeah, let's have a look at your training and see what you're up to. So the first one is, have you ever done strength training? So answer honestly, it's not a judgment. You can send these to me as well if you want for me to have a look at. Once you've filled it out, I'll be more than happy to go through them and see where you're at. But the majority of you who are on my programme, if you're on Aspire 90, you will be doing strength training. And if you're not, then I'll be checking up on you. But yeah, have you ever done strength training? If you haven't, answer honestly. And when I say strength training, I mean any type of resistance training, lifting weights. It doesn't have to be big heavy weights. Even just body weight exercises, that's still a form of resistance training. So like your squats, lunges, all that kind of thing. You don't need to be in a big kitted out gym, just strength training in general. If you've done it, put it down. If you've not, then fair enough, put it down. How often do you train? So that's currently, how often are you strength training? It might be every once in a while, it might be every other week, it might be 5 times a week, however many you do, pop that down. Because like I said, if you are not training consistently, then that is going to be an issue. We want you to be training regularly, frequently, and developing your strength, or developing your muscles and all these kind of things, rather than sporadic, oh, we'll train every day of the week, and then, it tails off because you hate it and you're in agony and you can't move. What is your favourite exercise? That is just out of curiosity. Put down what your favourite exercise is. It could be absolutely anything. It could be squats, deadlifts, bench press, shoulder presses, bicep curls, tricep dips, whatever your favourite exercise is, pop that in there. Do you consider yourself to be physically strong? So yes or no, do you consider yourself to be strong? Do you think that you can lift things well? Do you feel strong in your daily movements, like day to day? It doesn't even need to be, do you feel strong when you're in the gym? Like just day to day, do you feel like you're quite strong? Do you feel like you carry yourself quite well? You can move with efficiency? Or on the other hand, do you feel quite lethargic? Do you feel tired? Do you feel like your body's heavy? Do you feel like you struggle to move throughout the day? Try and put as much info as you can there. What does being strong mean to you? So, like I says, if you don't consider yourself to be strong, then how come? Like, do you think that the weights that you do lift aren't very good? Do you think that you could be pushing yourself harder? Do you think that the weights you're lifting, you should be lifting heavier? Do you have a kind of expectation of what you should be at? Or do you think you are strong? Do you think the weights that you're lifting are class? You think that you carry yourself well day to day, like I said before? And then the last one, what is your biggest concern around strength training? Is it injury? Is it feeling embarrassed, not knowing what you're doing, feeling unconfident? The injury one is really important. A lot of people shy away from lifting weights because they're scared of hurting themselves, which is fair enough. Like, that's totally understandable. If you don't know what you're doing, you might not want to risk hurting yourself, and that's fair. So what you do is you just get someone to show you that knows how to do it. Hopefully a reliable PT that's got your well-being is their best interest. So pick wisely. But yeah, that's what you want to make sure that you're not going to be taken away from your quality of life through your lifting. You want to make sure that you're improving your quality of life, not injuring yourself by lifting ridiculously heavy weights that are too much for you, or doing exercises incorrectly and risking your health. Rest and recovery. So yeah, let's talk about that, because that is important. So obviously you want to make sure you're training well, training frequently, and training to a high enough intensity, but we don't want you to be absolutely exhausted. You don't have to feel like every workout you've absolutely beasted yourself. That's a big thing for cardio bunnies who are kind of coming away from that. They want to be feeling out of breath and sweating and lying on the floor in a heap. But you shouldn't have to feel like that after every single workout, in my opinion. I think that you can push yourself to high enough intensity, but you shouldn't be absolutely wrecked, and you shouldn't be exhausted for the rest of the day or even for the rest of the week, because you'll just end up scunnered. You'll be exhausted all the time and you'll just stop training because you're sick of feeling that way. If you know what it's like, if you've maybe done a particularly tough workout and you've got DOMS for a few days after, and you're like, God, I couldn't walk properly for a few days, or I couldn't dry my hair properly, because you could lift your arms above your head, and that goes away after a couple of days. And fair enough, that happens every now and again. If you switch up your workout or change something, then you will I still get DOMS. I've been training since I was 18, 19 or something like that. So it still happens, and it's fine. It's good to understand the difference between having a bit of DOMS though and chasing that kind of pain. You don't want to be feeling like that after every single workout, and nor should you. You don't need to feel like that. There's a lot of stuff on social media, you'll see it, and it's, you should smash a workout, smash it. But you can just work out, move well, feel good. You don't need to be knocking your pan in every single day, because recovery is just as important as the training in order for you to be strong. So like I says, if you're knocking your pan in every single session, but you're not recovering properly, if you're doing far too much, sometimes we try and do all the cardio, all the strength workouts. We'll do 2 HIIT workouts a day and then go and do a strength session and then go for a big walk or a jog or something. That's too much to be doing in the one day. You want to be spreading these things throughout your week. That's fair enough, but you don't need to be doing more. Sometimes less is more. And in this case, especially if you're going through menopause, your body's going through so many changes, you need your rest, you need to be sleeping well, and you need to be recovering from your workouts. And that can be, doing active recovery, that can be gentle exercise like going for walks and things. That's still active recovery, that's still important. Maybe doing some mobility drills, You might like doing some stretching or some yoga, but just bear in mind, yoga, things like yoga and Pilates are still strenuous on your nervous system. So it might sound relaxing, but they can be quite taxing workouts as well. So keep that in mind if you are going to be incorporating these into your workouts. Like yoga and Pilates can still take a lot out of you. So if you're doing a lot of strength training, then make sure you're not totally burning yourself out by adding these in. Yeah, you just kind of choose them or be a bit more mindful of that. If you're feeling exhausted, it might just be that you're doing too much, when really you think that a little gentle bit of yoga or a little flow or something like that, when really it is a bit of a tough workout in itself, along with everything else that you're doing. It'll take longer for your body to recover as you get older, so you should prioritise your sleep above everything in your training plan. Yes, I'm saying that, prioritise your sleep. So in terms of training, you're prioritising strength. In terms of everything, you're prioritising sleep. You want to be sleeping well and prioritising that. If you've had a bad night's sleep when you're going to wake up in the morning and think, oh God, I need to go to the gym, it might be worth your while sleeping on for another hour and patching the gym that day, because you're going to have a crap workout, you're going to feel sluggish and exhausted, your body's going to be tired, your central nervous system's fried, your head is just not in the game, and you'll do a lackluster workout for what purpose? Whereas you could have just slept on for an hour and felt a bit better for it. Sure, you never got your workout, but there's always tomorrow. Yeah. I would far rather that, because like I said, your body's going through so many changes. You might not even be sleeping well at the best of times. So try and get as much sleep as you can and prioritise that. Get to bed earlier, make sure you're getting enough time, be organised, work out what time you're getting up at if you're going to get up and go to the gym. Or if you're not very good at training in the morning, it might be better for you to train later on in the day or the evening, in order for you to get a full proper night's sleep. Yeah, so just look at how your current routine is and see if it's working for you. Are you feeling exhausted, or are you feeling better for doing your workouts? Which one is it? You might need to look at improving your sleep. And when we say good sleep, we want a good quality sleep, to make sure that you're recovering well. And that's pretty much us for today. Is that it? Yeah, that is us. So that is, in a nutshell, strength to revitalise you. You know, we've looked at how much you should be doing. So we said minimum 2 to 3 workouts per week. Full body workouts could be good. You could do splits, you could do upper body, some lower body, mix up whichever way you like. Your resistance training can be anything from doing lighter weights but with higher reps and sets, or lower weights, high reps and sets, or heavier weights and less reps and sets. It's whatever kind of suits your style of training and what you prefer, and what obviously can fit in well to your lifestyle, making sure you're not burning out by doing too much. You're not trying to do all of the cardio, all of the yoga classes, Pilates, all these kind of doing far too much and tiring yourself out. You want to be prioritising your strength training. That is the top of your pyramid when it comes to your training, and everything else after that should complement it. Okay, if you're doing cardio, if you're going for walks and things, if you're doing any running, that should come after. Yeah. And then sleep is the top of all of that. That is the big dog. That is the one that you want to be making sure you're getting plenty of sleep so that you're recovering well and allowing your body to recover from the workouts that you've done and to build back up again. Yeah, your workouts that you do are putting your body under stress and actually breaking down your muscles and everything. And then your sleep is going to help you recover and repair your muscles so that you can get back to business the next day and you feel fresh, you're feeling revitalised, you're feeling good, you're feeling strong, you're not feeling weak and exhausted all the time and feel like your body is in agony and falling to bits, because we don't want that either. And then obviously we've talked about the reason that we do this is to prevent conditions like sarcopenia, osteopenia, osteoporosis that are going to, cause your body to degenerate and lead to a poorer quality of life as you're older. But like I said, it's never too late to start. If you are maybe sitting watching this and thinking, I need to get my finger out, then that's fine. I'm obviously here to help you with that if you feel like you're maybe not doing enough. But if you're following a strength training program with me, then we'll probably get that covered. Yeah, we're taking care of it, so don't worry about it. But make sure you're not put too much pressure on yourself to keep adding loads in. Make sure you're prioritising your strength training and doing good quality workouts when you do them, and then recovering well from them when they're done. All right, team. So hope you found that helpful. If you've got any questions for me regarding strength training or rest and recovery or conditions that are associated with bone degeneration or muscle degeneration during menopause, then please let me know. If you feel like there's anything that you're doing, you could maybe be doing differently or doing better. Are you doing the right workouts? Any of these kind of things, then just let me know, shoot me a question. I'll be more than happy to help you out. But yeah, go back and do the little table, answer all those questions, have a look at your current training routine if you have one, or you can have a look and see if there's anything that you could do to improve on it or do differently that is going to focus and prioritise building a healthier, stronger body for you.